Isabella Martinez was always the quiet one in her school. She was pale-skinned with long black hair that seemed to cover half her face whenever she walked down the hall. People barely noticed her. She spoke rarely, only when asked, and when she did, her voice was so soft that teachers often had to lean forward to hear her. Students called her the ghost of Westbrook High. She didn't mind. Attention was the last thing Isabella wanted. But what nobody in that school knew was that Isabella was no ordinary quiet girl. She was the daughter of Captain Miguel Martinez, one of the most decorated SWAT commanders in the city. Her father had led rescue missions, hostage operations, and even stood toe-to-toe with armed gangs. At home, though, he was simply Dad, and unlike most fathers, Captain Martinez had trained Isabella since she was 8. Not to fight recklessly, but to survive, to defend, to understand danger before it arrived. Yet Isabella never showed her skills. She kept her life secret. She wanted to be normal, invisible. But bullies never let quiet souls remain invisible for long. The trouble began in the cafeteria one cloudy Wednesday afternoon. The group of boys who ruled the school hallways, led by Brandon Keller, the football team's arrogant linebacker, spotted Isabella sitting alone at the corner table. She had a tray of simple food, a sandwich, an apple, and a bottle of water. She was sketching in her notebook, lost in her own world. Brandon nudged his friend Ryan. "Yo, look at Ghost Girl. She's always hiding. Bet she's drawing creepy dead stuff again." Ryan laughed. "Nah bro, maybe she's writing love letters to herself. No guy would ever go near her." The group chuckled, and Brandon smirked. "Let's have some fun." They walked over, towering above her small frame. Isabella didn't look up at first. She'd learned to ignore them before. But Brandon snatched her notebook and held it high. "What you got here, freak?" he taunted, flipping through the pages. Inside were sketches of her dog, her father, and some intricate drawings of tactical gear, things she picked up watching her dad clean his equipment. Ryan sneered. "What the hell is this? Look, she draws guns!" "Psycho much." Isabella stood, her voice calm but firm. "Give it back." The cafeteria had gone quiet now. Everyone loved drama, and Isabella never raised her voice to anyone. Brandon laughed. "Or what? You gonna draw me to death?" His buddies roared. But then Brandon crossed the line. He leaned too close. He put a hand on her shoulder, sliding it just a bit lower than he should have. The cafeteria gasped. Everyone knew this was wrong. Everyone knew the quiet girl was being touched where she didn't want to be. For Isabella, the world froze. Her father's voice rang in her mind. "If someone ever crosses your line, Hija, you don't wait, you don't beg, you act." Her breathing slowed, her eyes sharpened. In one swift motion, Isabella grabbed Brandon's wrist, twisted it backward with controlled precision, and slammed his arm down onto the cafeteria table. The tray clattered, the apple rolled, and Brandon screamed. Gasps echoed across the room. Students jumped out of their seats. Ryan lunged forward. "What the hell?" But Isabella's eyes locked onto him like steel. She pushed Brandon away, stood tall, and whispered just loud enough, "Don't touch me again." But Ryan didn't listen. He reached for her arm. In less than a second, Isabella pivoted, hooked his elbow, and flipped him straight onto the floor with a textbook judo throw her father had drilled into her countless times. Ryan hit the ground hard, air knocked out of him. The cafeteria erupted. Some screamed, some cheered. Most just stared. Brandon stumbled up, clutching his wrist, rage burning in his eyes. "You're dead, freak." He charged at her recklessly. Isabella sidestepped, lifted her knee, and slammed it into his stomach. The massive linebacker collapsed to his knees, gasping. Whispers rippled. "Did you see that? She just destroyed Brandon. She's not normal." Isabella calmly picked up her notebook from the floor. She didn't shout. She didn't gloat. She simply looked at Brandon and Ryan, both groaning in pain. "I warned you," she said softly. Then she walked out of the cafeteria, her steps steady, her hair still covering part of her face. But in that silence, one sentence traveled faster than wildfire through Westbrook High. The quiet girl isn't just some ghost. She's dangerous. And by the end of the day, rumors spread. Some said she was in a gang. Some said she had military parents. Some whispered that she had killed someone before. The truth was far scarier. She was the daughter of the city's most feared SWAT captain. The next day at Westbrook High, the tension was heavier than ever. Students whispered in the hallways, eyes darting whenever Isabella passed by. She didn't walk with pride or arrogance. She was still quiet, still carrying her books close to her chest, But now, no one looked at her the same way. Some looked at her with awe, some with fear, and some with a kind of respect they never thought they'd give her. But Brandon Keller and his crew weren't the type to back down. For bullies like them, humiliation was poison, and yesterday in the cafeteria, Isabella had made them choke on it in front of the entire school. Brandon's wrist still ached. Ryan's back was sore from hitting the ground, but their rage was fiercer than ever. At practice that evening, Brandon slammed his helmet onto the ground and barked, "I don't care what she did. Nobody embarrasses me like that. Nobody makes me look weak. We're going to make her pay. And this time, she won't walk away." His teammates exchanged uneasy glances. One of them muttered, "Man, she's not normal. Did you see how fast she moved? It was like some SWAT takedown or something." The Brandon spat on the ground. "She's just a freak who got lucky. Tomorrow morning, we end this." The following day, Isabella felt it, that tension in the air, that storm that builds before the lightning. She walked into the schoolyard, notebook tucked under her arm, when she saw Brandon, Ryan, and 4 more of their friends waiting by the lockers. They weren't smiling. They weren't mocking. They were dead serious. "Morning, ghost girl," Brandon sneered, stepping forward. "You got real brave yesterday. Let's see if you're still brave when it's 6 against 1. A circle formed quickly. Students crowded, phones out, recording. Everyone knew something explosive was about to happen. Isabella didn't panic. Her father's voice echoed in her mind again. "Numbers don't matter if you don't let fear control you. They're bigger, but you're smarter. Never fight angry. Fight precise." Ryan cracked his knuckles. "No one's here to save you now." Isabella's eyes flicked around. She saw exits, weak stances, and nervous eyes. She wasn't trapped, they were. Brandon lunged first, throwing a wild punch. Isabella ducked low, hooked his leg, and swept him straight to the ground. Before he could recover, she pivoted into Ryan, using his own momentum to slam him against the lockers with a sickening thud. Gasps erupted. 2 bullies down in seconds. The third tried to grab her from behind, but Isabella bent low, snapped her head back into his nose, then spun and elbowed his ribs. He collapsed, groaning. The fourth charged blindly. Isabella sidestepped, grabbed his hoodie, and flung him into the trash bin. Laughter mixed with shock in the crowd. Now only Brandon and Ryan were left standing, their faces red with fury. They rushed her together. Isabella planted her feet, raised her hands, and struck with clean, controlled power. A front kick straight into Ryan's chest, sending him flying back. Brandon swung hard, but Isabella blocked, twisted his arm, and slammed him into the pavement. He howled in pain. Silence fell. 6 football players were groaning on the ground, while the quiet girl stood untouched. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice cut through. "Enough." Everyone turned. Standing tall in his black tactical jacket, his presence commanding the air itself, was Captain Miguel Martinez, Isabella's father. His SWAT badge gleamed on his belt. His stern eyes swept the scene. The crowd froze. Whispers spread like wildfire. "Oh my God, that's her dad. He's the SWAT captain." Brandon's face drained of color. Captain Martinez walked forward, slow and deliberate. He looked at Isabella, then at the boys sprawled around her. His voice was calm but heavy with authority. "Isabella, what happened here?" Isabella met his gaze, steady and unafraid. "They touched me wrong, Dad. They wouldn't stop, so I stopped them." A murmur ran through the students. The captain's eyes darkened. He turned to Brandon, who struggled to stand, clutching his arm. "You dared put your hands on my daughter." Brandon stammered, "Yes, sir. It was just a joke." "Does this look like a joke to you?" Captain Martinez's voice thundered. The crowd fell silent. "You think it's funny to put your hands where they don't belong. You think it's brave to attack a girl 6 against 1. Brandon had no answer. He looked down, shaking. Captain Martinez's voice cut like steel. "Listen to me, all of you. My daughter didn't humiliate you yesterday. She defended herself. What she did here today wasn't anger. It was discipline, precision, control. She's been trained not to be a victim." He stepped closer, his presence towering over them. "And you will remember this the next time you even think about touching her or anyone like her. You won't be facing her. You'll be facing me." The silence was absolute. No one even breathed. Brandon, Ryan, and the rest could barely nod, their pride shattered, their fear laid bare. Captain Martinez turned to Isabella. For the first time, a faint smile tugged at his lips. "Well done, Hija. You showed restraint. I'm proud of you." Isabella simply nodded, clutching her notebook tighter. She didn't need applause, she didn't need cheers. She just needed peace. As father and daughter walked out together, the crowd parted like the sea. Students whispered, phones still recording, but no one dared laugh. No one dared mock. By the end of the day, every phone in the school buzzed with the video Isabella dismantling the bullies with effortless skill. Then her father, the SWAT captain, warning them with words that felt like a sentence carved in stone. And from that day forward, no one ever called her ghost girl again. She was the SWAT captain's kid. And the bullies, they never forgot the mistake they made when they touched her wrong. In final closing call to action for your video, this story isn't just about fighting back. It's about knowing your worth, standing your ground, and never letting anyone cross your line. If you felt Isabella's strength and courage, hit that subscribe button now. Join us for more powerful stories that will inspire you, shock you, and remind you quiet doesn't mean weak.